Yo. Yo, what's up?
What's up, bro?
I've honestly been raging all day, but I'm trying to vibe out.
Hey, who wants subscribers?
Huh?
Who wants subscribers?
Wait, what? I don't understand.
Okay, so where do you guys want?
Let's end this game.
Okay.
I'm trying to start off.
Yeah, I want to go here.
Here, start? You wanna start?
Yeah, go start.
No, but we're gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Oh, no, the whole mob is down there. I'm going boom.
Let's go risky. The boom marker.
Risky? Okay.
Yeah. Let's not go start. Aw. 2 people in start.
There is one person.
Wait! They're playing something on the screen.
Oh, you guys
Bruh.
are listening?
Why are
They're
y'all so
playing
scared to go to start? It's just a place, like, you can go there, kill a lot of people,
Yeah, but I'm gonna
get good weapons.
die. Hey, this is a music video on the thing from...
I know.
Oh, you're listening to it?
I'm looking at it.
Oh, I have no idea what they're saying.
Now I'm open just watching it while I can easily get headshotted. Hey. I give it a... Come on, no, wait, what? 7. I'm live streaming, so I'm probably gonna get copyrighted. Someone's here. Oh, never mind. That's okay.
Get out my
One gun.
Oh!
Don't mess that up, boy.
It's on the street.
Huh?
I didn't know that. Oh, you see the screen out there?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. It's pretty cool.
The guy's teammates are coming. The guy's over here. We kind of need to focus on fighting.
I'm only 20 kinder one tell shit. I'm so
I have no match, so I might be dead.
Where you going? You came here in the car? You drove? Oh. Who? You said a boy? You said a boy? I'll come out there. You got
Later, kid. See you next time. My SMG.
Is the update happening now? Huh?
Yeah.
It's like right now? Look behind you. He's here.
Yo, anyone that needs that, do that?
Y'all really want trick-or-treating? Where y'all went?
There's a tree right here.
It's by the white people?
Yeah.
Do I care?
I literally got no gun. That doesn't mean anything for fun. Done. I got to know no gun. That's okay, but I'm doing
I was trying to do a glitch, but my cousin said I was gonna get banned.
For what? What glitch is it?
We're doing a glitch in class.
Oh yeah, no you don't get banned for that. Wow! I just took a big pot and that's on minis.
But you won't get banned.
No, I did it before. I don't get banned at all. But it's really hard to do. I know what you're talking
You
about.
have to time it perfectly.
Yeah, you have to shoot the... And you can only do that one time. If you mess it up, the whole thing's over. Do you guys have any metal and brick?
I I'm gonna go to Denver and try to figure out the car.
I really need some mats. I'm trying to trade.
Come.
I wanted to go to the street.
Ooh, baby, come back here. What you got in your back pocket?
Is it rolling?
It's
No.
my business because I just seen it. I need it.
Fudge. Wait, why'd you guys all leave me? I'm not risky. I had many. I'm gonna get risky all alone. I'm gonna die. Oh wow. I'm gonna
Can you guys come over?
Rift here?
Please.
Huh? Yeah, I'll try. Or I'm far away.
And you guys can just drive a car over.
Dang. You have to find me to pick up that.
So please, can you guys?
Oh, I'll try. Like that. I love you like this content though. Content's so much fun.
I'm gonna die.
It's okay, you can watch us. And I'm about to die because there's a full team in the boat connected. There's coming towards this way. I just need metal and that's all. Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hey,
Yeah,
people.
Where?
Over here.
There's people from over there coming in a boat. Same people we're looking at.
Wait, what happened to our other teammate?
Yeah, I'm coming. I'll go from this side. You go from this side. Wait, don't fight. They're all the way over there. Don't shoot. We don't need that. Never mind. Please don't shoot. I don't want your attention. 25 blue again. Cracked him. What, 25 white? Cracked the other one. Cracked that guy. He's still low, 1 HP. This guy's 50. Don't fight this.
Abort the mission.
50 shield? Yeah, let's just
abort the mission!
I am! Do you have a 30 metal?
Oh my god, we can't abort the mission.
Yeah, we can. They're not chasing. They're all low.
But we're not in storm, that's the thing.
Uh-huh, I know. We could just go around. Hey, can you give me a 30 metal? And I'll give you minis and big shot and big kill. They're coming! I'm dead.
I got a dude on me, come.
Wait, no you don't. Just hide. Oh, you did.
He's on me. Oh my god, I told you I had a dude on me, bro.
I'm dead. I can't play bouncers!
Look to me because he's coming at you with full force of the bomb, but you're dead. I'm sorry, guys. Bye.
Die! Yes, at least I killed him. Okay,
GG's, bro.
I look like the content though. Bye.
Hi, I'm Sally, and I'm not yours to hold up. I have 3 sisters. Sophia, Sharon, and Sandy. Yes, my parents thought it would be cute to have all our names start with the letter S. Frankly, I find it annoying. We're quadruplets, meaning we were all born at the same time. We're very close. Oh, yes. And did I mention we were conjoined quadruplets? Before I go on, please make sure you like and subscribe. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more crazy videos like this. My parents weren't expecting quadruplets. When my mom was pregnant, she never did any ultrasounds. She said she preferred the gender of the baby to be a surprise when she gave birth. Little did she know she would have 4 babies. And she never would have expected to have conjoined quadruplets. When my parents got to the hospital, they were shocked when the doctors told them they were having quadruplets. My mom said she almost fainted from the shock. They had to believe they would only have 1 baby. And sure, they could tell my mom's belly was pretty big. I mean, of course it was. She had 4 human beings in there, but they hadn't really thought about it that much. So when the doctor told them they were having quadruplets, well, they freaked out. It was too difficult for my mom to give birth naturally, so they had to do a cesarean. When my mom woke up after the surgery, that's when the doctors dealt the news. They had conjoined quadruplets. My mom said she was shocked. She was so stunned by the news. She felt guilty because she said she felt as if this were her fault somehow. But when she saw us and the doctors placed us in her arms, she made a vow to make our lives as amazing as possible. She loved us to bits. Our dad wasn't as forgiving. He abandoned us. He left my mom on her own to raise 4 children. I will never forgive my dad for that. Never. I prefer to just ignore him. Of course, growing up, we had our challenges. For starters, going to school was a nightmare. Kids could be really mean. For starters, going to school was a nightmare. Kids could be really mean sometimes, and the fact that my sisters and I were conjoined didn't help anything. We got bullied each and every day of our lives, but we got through it. We had our sisters and mom to depend upon for support. Some people might think it's really hard for us to live our daily lives, but really, it's not that hard. This life is all we've ever known. We've been conjoined since birth, so it's normal for us. Sure, getting ready in the morning can be a bit difficult since everyone is trying to be quick, and our bathroom can feel cramped sometimes. But other than that, things are relatively smooth. We each carry a mirror with us so that we can talk to each other easily, and also when we watch TV so that we can see the screen. But then again, sometimes I feel annoyed when others complain about such little things, like having to share the same room as a sibling. Imagine having to share the same body with 3 of your sisters. But we learned to live with being conjoined, and we were happy. But then, Sophia did something that ruined everything. You see, we all pretty much live different lives, but we just happen to have the same body. We have different crushes, different interests, and we're all pretty different people. I'm the more serious one, and I tend to focus a lot more on doing homework and studying. Sharon is a lot more outgoing, and she's very friendly too. Sandy is more quiet, and she can get very shy. And Sophia? Well, Sophia is quite crazy. She gets really aggressive sometimes, and she always seems to want to pick a fight. I suppose it was because of this tendency to fight that she ended up ruining our lives. Sophia had grudges, and there was this one girl at school who she really hated. Now, don't get me wrong, this girl, her name was Katie, was mean. Like, mean
Hi
than
guys,
an average bully.
whoever this
We
is.
were used to the insults growing up. I mean, we're conjoined
I'm
quadruplets
just
for
watching
Pete's
YouTube.
sake,
I was just
but
waiting for
Katie
someone to
was
come
something
in,
else.
and
She
someone
wanted
did.
to devote her life to making us
Are you able to
miserable.
type in
Katie
chat?
was a new kid in our class, and I remember when she first walked into the classroom, she had stared at us and
I'm gonna try to talk to whoever this is and play something memorable.
and screamed out loud, "It's a monster!" Now, the other kids in our class were pretty used to us, and I guess you can understand you might be shocked to see a person with 4 heads. But Katie didn't stop there. She had proceeded to call us names and said that she couldn't go to school with someone who looked like that. It really hurt me, and I'm sure my sisters felt offended too. The teacher told Katie off for saying all those horrid things, but that didn't stop her from bullying us when there were no teachers around. In the playground, when we ran around playing games, Katie would stick out her foot and trip us. And then she would laugh, saying, "You deserve it, you freak." If you're thinking, why didn't you tell the teacher? Well, we did, but the teacher didn't care. Because after that first day of school when Katie spoke to us, she had manipulated the teacher into thinking she was a golden Look, it was that. The teacher was looking behind us. Katie had said, "I'm not mean." I kept trying. And when the teacher moved away out of earshot, Katie and me didn't know who was supposed to receive. When we got home, we never told our mom because we were so worried. We
Ah,
decided to settle it ourselves. But Sophia was always cruel. She wanted revenge. But it took the willpower of the 3 of us to stop her from punching Katie whenever we were around her. One day, Sophia had had enough. She decided it was time we had our revenge. You see, we each share control of half of our bodies. Sandy and I share the left half, and Sharon and Sophia
I'm watching YouTube. It's kind of weird.
especially with Sophia taking control, she can start to control the whole body. And next minute, we will be going off in the direction that she wants to go in. Sophia had been creating a plan to ruin Katie's life. Little did she know it would ruin ours at the same time. This was Sophia's plan. She was going to humiliate Katie in front of the whole school. Growing up at a school, Katie was likely to become prostitute. Well,
Of course.
Sophia was going to humiliate Katie right as she was getting the crown placed on her head in front of the whole school. She planned to place a huge bucket of slime over Katie, and at that exact moment, she would release it and drench Katie in slime. Then a bucket of feathers was going
Oh
to be
my
released
god.
afterwards, turning Katie into a ball of slime and feathers. When Sophia told us her plan, we were horrified. It sounded terrible. "We can't do that to her," I said. "Why not?" asked Sophia. "Because it's so mean," said Sharon. "So?" replied Sophia. "Katie has been mean to us for every single day of her life. She deserves a little something in return." "She loves doing right," said Sandy. "We're doing this plan," said Sophia firmly. And that's when we knew there was no hope. We had to do as Sophia said, whether we liked it or not. She was going to move us to perform the plan she had described. So So, the night before the prom, Sophia ordered 10 gallons of slime to be delivered to our house, as well as kilograms of lettuce. We had to hide it from our mom, so we hid it in our room overnight. The next morning, we managed to sneak out and walked over to the school carrying the slime and feathers into 2 separate bags. It was hard work dragging it all the way to school. Finally, we managed to make it to the school in time for the first bell, and we left the slime and feathers in the storage room. We pushed it into a corner so no one would find it. Throughout the school day, we all felt so nervous. Sophia was mostly excited, but myself and my other sisters were scared. We were doing something wrong, but we couldn't deny the little bit of satisfaction we felt at the thought of Katie doing the event she was doing. Sure enough, in history class, Katie started poking us with her pencil and calling us mean names. Each jab was a reminder of how much she made our lives miserable. By the end of history class, we were all ready to carry out the plan. Not just Sophia. When school ended, we all got dressed in our prom outfits and headed over to the sports hall. Were already being served, and music played. Whilst everyone else was there, we instead went back to the storage room to get our stuff. We got the slime and feathers, got the huge buckets we had already prepared, and headed back to the sports hall via the back route. We found our way to the room right over where the stage was, where the prom would be announced. There, we others in another huge bucket. Sandy was quite smart, and she worked out a way to attach some strings so that we could unleash the bucket from the back down in the sports hall. After half an hour of setting up, the trap was complete, and just in time. The prom queen was about to be announced. Back in the sports hall, everyone stood in front of the stage in preparation. I spotted Katie, and she glared at me and stuck her tongue out. All I thought was, just wait and see. Then she took the prom queen first. And the prom queen is Katie Aries. Everyone clapped, but neither me nor any of my sisters clapped. We had the string gripped in one hand, and we were standing off to the side of the stage, so we had a good look for when the slime dropped. Katie smiled and
No, I cannot die.
she accepted the crown on her head. Thank you, thank you. I want to thank you, but no one got to hear who she was going to thank, because she pulled the rope and the bucket of slime came over, spilling its smooth contents all over Katie. She screamed and everyone else gasped. Dad started laughing at Katie. Yes, it worked, whispered Sophia. Then we moved it forward together. But as we get to the rope, something happened. The bucket tipped and suddenly the bucket itself was falling. It seemed to fall in slow motion, and then it landed right on Katie's head. No one else when everything fell apart. Katie was lost in motion. Everyone was called. Katie had suffered from a heart and was trying to figure out how to do the trap.
Bro, I have no fucking match.
Her mom was so disappointed. That's when I spent the most. In the end, the court ruled that we had been guilty, and we would have to pay for the year. Everyone is more than ever now, and we are hoping to move forward soon from the start. We all feel terrible. Katie is fine now. She's perfectly normal, but now we're the ones suffering. We should have never listened to Sophia. Not everyone is taking his life now. What would you do if one day you found out you were dead? Well, I thought it was the worst thing that could happen, but I got lost. Wait until I reveal how things escalated to a complete disaster that no one expected. she ignored me. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I walked over to her table and said, Sarah, seriously, what did I do wrong? Her face turned bright red, and she said she had to go. But I refused to leave her alone until she told me. Well, soon enough, I regretted ever asking, because what she said freaked me out. You see, Sarah lives just outside the town near a forest. There are no big houses up there, and it's super dark. She told me that she I was shocked. I told her she was lying because my dad was on a business trip in Paris, and he'd even sent me selfies from the Eiffel Tower in the background. But she said it was definitely him. That's when I knew she was being serious, and that the only lie was down the whole time. Sarah stopped crying, and I told her it was okay. I wasn't mad at her. I asked her if I could come over to her place after school to comfort my dad. She said that was fine, as long as I didn't get her involved. She was such a goody two-shoes. So after school, Sarah and I took the bus back to her place. Mother's car was really tipsy. Then Sarah took me into her bedroom and pointed to the back of the house. Oh my god, the car was there! I could feel the anger rising up inside me. I ran out of Sarah's house towards the neighbors. Sarah tried to get me to stop, but I was very angry. I marched right up to the front door of the house and was about to knock when I noticed a big photo through the glass. It was my dad and some woman, and they were wearing wedding clothes. I almost screamed. Was this some kind of joke? I needed to think. I had to get out of there. What else was my dad hiding from me? I started walking away quickly, but then I tripped on a rock and almost fell. Through the window, I heard a woman's voice saying, "What was that?" I just panicked and started running. I jumped behind a bush and saw my dad open the door and glance outside. "Nothing, honey," he said. "It must have been a bird." I had to literally grip onto the tree to stop myself from running at my dad and shouting. I waited until he had gone back inside and ran back to my friend's place. I was crying and shaking as I texted my dad. "So, how's Paris? When are you back, Dad?" He replied right away. "Not for a month, sweetie, but the time will fly by. Be good for your grandma now." My dad was such a liar. He promised me that after Mom was gone, it would just be me and him forever, and that he would never be married. Well, now I was going to make him pay. I went home that night and decided to confront him the following day. I was going to embarrass him so much. And when I got to Sarah's house, his car was nowhere to be seen. Where had he gone? I tried to call him, but it went straight to voicemail, and I started to panic. Thinking maybe his new wife had done something to him. She did look like a gold digger type. Sarah could see I was worried, so she asked her mom if she'd seen a man in Sarah recently. And Sarah's mom just giggled and said, "Oh, you know what you know." But it looks like she's finally settled down and got married. I saw him leave with a suitcase early this morning, but didn't get a good look at him. He looked handsome, though. Sure enough, later that night, I got a phone call from Dad, and he was actually in Paris. For real. He even put me on video and showed me the view from his hotel room. I was too shocked to actually say anything, though, and just told him I wasn't feeling well and hung up. All I could think about was how I needed to find out who this monster of a woman was that had stolen my dad away from me and then hit me. This woman was my stepmother now. I couldn't just go knock on her door, though. What if she recognized me? I mean, surely my dad had mentioned me, right? But then, why hadn't I been invited to their wedding? I had so many questions, and I needed to find a way to become my stepmother and get my answers back. Sarah suggested I break into her house, which was just ridiculous, but I had an idea. The next day was a Saturday, so I gathered up some cleaning supplies from my grandma's place, and then dug in my ultrasound box, where I found an old blonde wig. Then I took the bus over to Sarah's. Except I didn't go to Sarah's. I went to pay my new stepmother a little visit. I must have looked ridiculous, carrying a giant feather duster and wearing a blonde wig, but I didn't care. I had bigger things to think about. I marched right up to her door, trying to be as confident as possible. I knocked. She ran to the door and was dressed up all fancy. And then when she saw me, her face fell. I was expecting someone else. Sorry, I'm not interested in buying anything. Have a good day. She was about to close the door, but I said, "Wait!" Nancy told her I was from the local school, and we were doing some cleaning jobs to raise funds for a charity to help animals. Until she still wasn't interested. So I said, "Please, those animals need all the help they can get." She said, "Fine, but they don't." I have to think. As soon as I was inside, I started playing the video and she saw me staring and told me to hurry up. So then I headed upstairs to when we got to the bedroom.
Fuck you.
This became peek inside the closet. What kind of woman had my dad fallen in love with? It looked like she had lots of fancy clothes. And then I saw something familiar. My mom's favorite dress. Without thinking, I took it and shoved it under my sweater. best job possible, so she didn't write me back. So that's
Fuck you!
Dumbass
bitch.
Teaching me well. And that is if I could come again 2 days later. I couldn't believe it. That was 2 weeks. Of course I gave her a good name, and as I walked away, I almost laughed. I was officially my stepmother's child. Oh, this was
Bitch, you thought.
I was who I really was.
Yeah, bitch.
She was
Yeah, don't listen to me, motherfucker. Fuck you, bitch. Ooh, I got the winning kill. 10 out of 10, baby.
My stepmother shouted upstairs to me that she had a meeting now and would be in her study and that I wasn't to disturb her. I was very curious. So as soon as I heard her study door close, I crept downstairs and looked through the keyhole. They were sitting opposite each other, and it did look like a business meeting. But then my stepmother put her finger to her lips to say, shh, and pointed up towards the ceiling. And then the next second, she got up and went over and started kissing the man. I couldn't believe it. I almost gasped. I couldn't stop watching. And then the man pushed her away and said, babe, please, you gotta take those pictures of your husband down. I feel like he's watching us. It's creepy. And then my stepmother just told him to ignore the pictures and said her husband was away so much he'd never find out anyway. Well, that's what she thought. I'd just seen and heard more than enough. If my dad knew what she was up to, he'd be heartbroken. I had to tell him. This was sickening. I ran back upstairs, and then the man left. I could feel my heart thumping in my chest. This was all too much. A few minutes later, I heard a phone ringing, and then my stepmother answered. It was clearly my dad on the line, because she said, oh, I miss you too, baby. Please hurry home. I felt so angry hearing that. I picked up one of the perfume bottles in her room and threw it on the floor. It smashed and pieces flew everywhere. Of course, my stepmother came running upstairs, and that's when I realized she was on a video call. I threw myself under her bed, pretending to clean up the bits of broken glass. No way could my dad see me here. But then Janelle bent down and said, let me introduce you to my husband. But I just mumbled that I was cleaning up the glass and would meet him later. My God, if my dad saw me, he would freak out. I thought about not returning after I'd seen her having an affair. But I wanted to collect evidence for my dad. So over the next 2 weeks, I kept visiting and cleaning. And that man was there all the time. One night, as I was leaving, I asked her who he was. And she blushed and said he was just an important client and that they were signing a business deal. Yeah, right, I thought. Then one day, just before my dad got back, I was at her house cleaning. I'd started to clean the toilet with her toothbrush after I caught her cheating, and it gave me so much pleasure to scrape the toilet bowl with it. It served her right. I was polishing the toilet seat with it, when suddenly I heard her running up the stairs. I quickly hid the toothbrush just in time, because she came storming into the bathroom and started vomiting. I got such a fright and asked her if she was okay. Then I headed home. The next day, I decided I was going to quit. My dad was coming home, and I couldn't risk being caught by him. Plus, I was sick of being around her and her lies. I did one last clean for her because I also needed the cash. And as I was cleaning her bathroom, I noticed something in the trash. My jaw almost hit the floor. It was a pregnancy test, and it said 1 to 2 weeks on it. Oh my God. She was pregnant. I did the math and realized there was no way this could be a baby. I was so shocked, I lost all track of time, and the next moment, I heard my dad's voice downstairs. I had to get out of there without him seeing me. I waited until he was in the kitchen, and then I ran as fast as I could down the stairs, out the door, and over to Sarah's. The worst part of it all was knowing that he came to see his wife before coming to see me. Did he love her more than me? I watched as they went out into the garden and started hugging, and I quickly took a photo of them. And then I saw her showing my dad the pregnancy test, and he looked happy. He picked her up and swung her around, and all I could think was how the baby was not his. Later that night, Dad came to pick me up at my grandma's and take me home, but I told him I was fine staying at grandma's and didn't want to come home. He could clearly see that something was up, and just before he left, I decided that was the moment. I showed him the photo I'd taken of him and my stepmother, and he almost dropped my phone in shock.
He turned to me and said he could explain, and then he broke down and said he'd been wanting to tell me for so long, but he was afraid that I wouldn't be okay with it, and that he really loved this woman. He so badly wanted me to meet her. I didn't tell him I had already met her, because I had a plan. This week, my dad kept apologizing, and then he asked me if I'd be interested in meeting his wife that weekend. I told him I'd love to, and he seemed relieved. Then he said he'd chosen a special restaurant and promised that I'd love her as much as he did. When the weekend rolled around, I put on my mom's dress, the one I'd stolen out of my stepmother's closet, and wore a pair of big sunglasses. Obviously, I didn't wear my blonde wig because I didn't want to give myself away. My dad told me to take my sunglasses off, but I refused, saying it was part of my outfit. And then he complimented me on the dress and said it looked as good on me as it had on my mom. So my stepmother had stolen the dress then. At first, things went well. She didn't recognize me, and she was acting very sweet towards me. And then she said she and my dad had something to tell me, that I was going to be a big sister. I decided that was the perfect moment. I pulled off my sunglasses, reached into my bag, and pulled out my wig, and said, "Oh yeah? And is this baby definitely my dad's?" Well, you should have seen the look on her face. She literally screamed and pushed herself away from the table. Then she started pointing at me, saying, "It's you? But you are my cleaner." Then she turned to my dad and started shouting at him, saying, "Did you set this up? Were you spying on me? Using your own daughter to keep an eye on me? She even stole my dress." The whole time, my dad looked so confused. He clearly had no idea what was going on. So I told him everything, that the baby wasn't his, and that I'd seen his wife cheating on him over the past month. My dad was so furious, he grabbed my hand and we left the restaurant. As we stormed out, I turned to my evil stepmother and said, "By the way, I didn't steal your dress. You stole this dress from our house." My dad was so disgusted by the whole situation, and I thought he'd be angry. After all, I had pretended to be someone else just to get some info about my stepmother. But he was actually very grateful. He apologized to me about 1,000,000 times, and said he'd been such a fool to fall for such a terrible woman, and of course for lying to me about where he'd been and the fact that they'd gotten married. Well, now they're divorced. Thank God. As soon as the divorce was filed, my dad turned to me and jokingly said, "Next time I meet a woman for a date, I'm going to hire you as a spy to go and clean her house, okay?" At least my dad still had a sense of humor. And thank goodness for Sarah living so close. Otherwise, would we ever have discovered what a liar she was? My mouth dropped open in disbelief when I heard my stepmom Olivia's punishment this time. "That's it, young lady. You're grounded for a week. No phones, no video games, no television, no playing with the cats, and you'll be eating vegetables for the